welcome to another episode of Morbid Vision. It's very cold out. It's the dead of winter in New England, and the dead have risen from the graves. So in other words, I'm going to do another topic tonight. Top 5 being zombie films. At one point, this was my favorite subgenre. Can't really tell you what my favorite subgenre is at the moment right now, to be honest, but zombies were the films that I enjoyed the most. Mostly the 80s stuff. Now, because it's become so oversaturated, it's one of those things like once something gets too popular, you kind of like, whatever. I guess that's my problem. I don't know. But, so yeah, I sat down and tried to figure out what my top 5 favorite zombie films were. But I decided to make it very difficult on myself because it would have been a little monotonous just to show what probably would have been truly my favorite. I decided I only can choose one title from George Romero and only one title from Lucio Fulci. So that made it very difficult. I was like, oh, okay. Top 3 are fine. When it came to 4 and 5, I couldn't decide. I just did not know. I kept thinking, I'm like, well, how many times if I watch this movie? How many times? How much entertainment do I get out of this movie? Which is one that has the best gory sequences or the best looking zombies? And it was just very difficult because when I would choose one, I'd be like, oh, but this. There's a couple of movies that I may actually enjoy more than 2 of them that are on this table, but I basically based it on either overall entertainment or the actual visuals, what they did with the zombies. I think that's where I drew the line. I don't know. It was difficult. So, anyways, I'm gonna do what I think are my top 5 zombie films. Actually, number 5, honestly, it's not one of my top 5, but I wanted to show it because I think it deserves a mention. I think it should be respected for what they did with it because they did some really cool stuff here. So number 5, Shockwaves. A much lesser known movie. Stars Peter Cushing, which right off the bat, right there, at least you're getting quality acting with this movie. Not a traditional zombies film in the sense. This is about the Nazi super soldiers. So, different type of storyline, which definitely makes this one a bit more interesting. The story is kind of simple. It's not the greatest. They don't really go into it as like some other movies have. But some of the visuals in this film are awesome. They do some sequences are just so damn cool. When they have all the super soldiers like way out in the water and they all just rise up all together. It's just so well done. It's stuff like that definitely makes this movie stand out. It's not gory at all, but it's very creepy. Great atmosphere, cool location, very eerie location, and just some of the sequences with the Nazi super soldiers in the water are they'll stick with you. They're just so damn cool. So yeah, if you haven't seen Shockwaves, definitely check it out. Very, very eerie, creepy zombie film. Okay, number 4. Again, this one gave me problems. I didn't quite know what to do with it. I love this movie, but I was like, do I really want this representing one of the tops? But I went with Night of the Creeps. This is one of those movies. It's just pure 80s. This is just a pure 80s horror film. They don't really make them like this anymore. Just pure entertainment. Very entertaining, very fun movie. It's got some great special makeup effects in this movie. They did some really cool stuff in this movie. It's a very light-hearted movie, but Tom Atkins is in it. So just Tom Atkins alone being in it just elevates the movie above a lot of other films. Yes, this is just a bootleg copy I have. But I decided to show this one because for the longest time it took forever for Night of the Creeps to come out in DVD. I got held up with some type of rights. I don't know what it was, but I didn't. I wanted to show this because this is the original artwork. I hate the cover of the official one that came out through, I think, TriStar. I think TriStar released it. The cover is terrible. It looks horrible. So I wanted to show the actual original artwork. So this was the first version I happened to get a hold of at a horror convention somewhere because you couldn't get it. It took forever for this to come out on DVD. So, but yeah, just college students, doing a college initiation prank, inadvertently releases a zombie plague. But this one's different. This one's the zombies come from space. It ends up being an infection that crash lands on Earth and starts infecting people, and so at least it makes it interesting. It's a different story. So instead of just the traditional, shambling zombies or whatever, you get something different for this one. So a lot of fun. Tom Atkins is awesome. I mean, you can't go wrong with Tom Atkins, especially when he's, one of the lead protagonists in a movie. It's just awesome. You have to see it just for that. But yeah, very fun, very entertaining zombie film. Got some decent gore in it, and yeah, some also great '80s special makeup effects. That alone makes you have to see it. Okay, now I'm into there's no contest. This was a no-brainer to put these in. Alright, so number 3. City of the Living Dead by Lucio Fulci. One of the most atmospheric horror films ever made, I would say. Lucio Fulci's zombies, within the zombie films he made, his zombies are just so decayed and just devoid of all life. Dusty, rotted, slow, shambling. Just, they're perfect undead creatures. So well done. And this was one of the first movies I remember hearing about. My aunt, when I was a kid, my aunt told me about this movie. She just happened to rent it once, and she's like, I saw this movie, and this girl, she throws up all of her intestines. I was like, oh my god, wow, that sounds pretty incredible. And then once I finally saw the movie, I'm like, that's the movie she told me about. That's awesome. But yeah, such great atmosphere. I won't really go into the storyline because Lucio Fulci's stories, this is almost like a dream. It has a dreamlike quality to it. Has teleporting zombies. There's an original one for you. Teleporting zombies make it very interesting, but it works. It just happens. And what I didn't realize when I fell in love with this movie, when I was a teenager, but I didn't quite get the references in it. And then much later on, I found out it takes place in H.P. Lovecraft's Dunwich, which, I mean, that just elevates it even higher. That just makes it so damn cool. But yeah, Lucio Fulci. It was also, in America, it was originally on VHS. It was called Gates of Hell, which is an awesome title as well. I mean, how can you not want to watch a movie called The Gates of Hell when you find out a girl pukes up all of her intestines? So, incredible zombie, just great zombies, very creepy atmosphere. So on such a high level in this movie, and just incredible gore. There's just like show-stopping gore sequences in this movie. This movie was known as one of the movies that just has there's 2 sequences where it just everyone talks about. So yeah, check out City of the Living Dead. And it was also another release actually recently came out on Blu-ray where they went back and they called it The Gates of Hell, which I thought was really cool. Really good release as well. I always end up showing the DVDs just because they usually have the original artwork and they're bigger, they're easier to see on the video. Awesome movie. Now, again, one of the ultimate staples of the zombie genre. Most people would say this, a lot of people would say this is the king of zombie films. I just happen to have one that I enjoy a bit more, but this is just an absolute classic. Dawn of the Dead by George Romero. Just an incredible film. This is a masterpiece. If you haven't seen George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, you must watch it. It is so good. It's just pure quality filmmaking. And, there's some of the zombies, they're not the greatest. It was the 70s. Tom Savini hadn't really like not like Day of the Dead where he just went all out on the zombie makeups. These are more basic zombie makeups, but it works. Everything in this movie works, but it is very gory as well. I mean, for 1970, I mean, Tom Savini went all out on the gore effects in this thing, and yeah. But yeah, it's a classic. It's considered one of the greatest zombie films ever made. Some people might even say it's one of the greatest horror films ever made. Absolute classic. You have to see this movie. So, number 2, Dawn of the Dead by George Romero. Now, my number 1 pick. I can't help it. It's just so damn entertaining. A horror film with so much energy to it. It's just, you just can't not love this film. Return of the Living Dead. Total punk rock, in your face, high energy zombie film. Just pure horror all the way. So damn fun. This movie is incredible. I wish I saw this in the theater, but I was just a little too young to see rated R horror films in the theater, so I missed out on this one. I wish I could have seen it, but yeah, it's such a damn good movie. Great soundtrack. Just everything about this movie just works. It's so highly entertaining, and it contains one of the best looking zombies ever created, the tar zombie. There's just something about this thing. This thing's just oozing with black icky tar all over it, shredded clothes, all of its bones exposed, full like skull makeup, which is normally you don't see that. And oh god damn it, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. Shit. I should have researched that. But the actor, just his movements are just so incredible. You've never seen a zombie move like this before in a movie. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen them since, because I'm sure a lot of people are, recreating what they saw the tar zombie do. But just, it looks like he's trying to keep his body from falling apart as he walks around. He's only in 2 short sequences, but it sticks with you. It's so memorable, and you'll realize why the tar zombie is one of the most recognized, just standout zombies ever created. So, Return of the Living Dead is just, it's a masterpiece in my eyes. I love it. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say about it except you have to watch this movie. It's awesome. So good. It's like a party movie too. If you want to get your friends together and just watch something really, really awesome, really incredible, good, get you all, really into it, check out Return of the Living Dead. Sequels aren't that great. Return of the Living Dead 2, it's fun. It's kind of stupid, but it's fun. I'll probably get some hate from this one, but I'm not a real big fan of Part 3. I just did not like the story. I didn't like the characters, and whatever. I just wasn't a very big fan of it. And of course, everyone knows that Part 4 and 5, where everyone's got excited about them, and then everyone went, ugh, really? Okay. So, unfortunately, I never got a sequel to even come close to matching the original, but that's my favorite zombie movie of all time. So, like we normally do, recap. Shockwaves. Eerie, creepy, different type of zombies. Interesting. Check it out. Night of the Creeps. Just pure 80s fun. Very fun movie. Very entertaining. City of the Living Dead by Lucio Fulci. Pure atmosphere. Grim. This is just pure horror. This is just... Yeah, this is horror. This is... If you want to see a horror film where everything just feels like you're watching something dark, City of the Living Dead. Zombie masterpiece, Dawn of the Dead. If Return of the Living Dead wasn't just so goddamn energetic and entertaining, this would be the number 1 pick, because it is a true masterpiece from George Romero. Dawn of the Dead. Just so damn fun. It's just one of the most entertaining horror films ever made. Return of the Living Dead. Enough said. Classic. So, there are my picks for a top top list of zombie films. There are so much more, and like I said, I restricted myself on this one. I made it more difficult because if it wasn't Dawn, Day of the Dead definitely would have been in here. Zombie from Lucio Fulci would have been here. The Beyond probably would have been in here. So it was impossible to do without. I just had to make this more varied. I had to only choose one from Lucio Fulci and only one for George Romero. So there you go. So hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Morbid Vision Films so we can keep doing this, and hopefully we'll get bigger and bigger. All right, thank you.